like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, heck, we're even on TikTok. We're excited to engage with you. We hope you'll join us moving forward.
Good morning, everyone. It's Andrew with The Market Mindset. We're catching up with Robert Rohlfing, who's the chairman and CEO over at Desert Mountain Energy. I talk about it a lot. Everybody has lots of questions. Everyone speculates and has all sorts of theories, but we've got the man in front of us here. We've got some great news that just came out. Let's catch up. Welcome to the show. Welcome, Robert. How are you?
Thank you. I appreciate it. We had a wonderful Thanksgiving last week, and it was good to be with some family and get off, kind of get away from business for a day. So that was good.
Good. And a great news release today. So, I mean, I think that kind of talks about some of the potential and some of what's going on moving forward. Let's reach out and start talking about this land package here.
The first thing we did, we picked up a total of an additional 40 acres of surface rights. Now we already had all the mineral rights tied up underneath, but this is just additional surface rights that we secured to drill additional wells on. And these will be for the developmental wells in the McCAULEY field. And we are planning on drilling those wells starting after in January, as soon as the rig is available. It's currently tied up on a 3-well program for another company in another state, and we'll be bringing that in, and we're going to drill multiple wells.
So this is good. So I mean, that's good news for people to want to start building out. Will there be also any kind of wildcatting, any kind of further exploration on any of these, or is this just all developmental?
The first 3 that we'll start drilling in January will be all developmental wells in the McCAULEY field.
Yep.
Then after that, we're going to be going back to drilling Wildcat. So we have lots of blue sky on us. I know a lot of folks have been wondering, well, he hasn't really said that again. Well, I'm just restating it. I've said it before, but I'm just restating it again. We're building this. We really set the base in this last year to build the company from and expand it. And then a lot of people maybe felt that, well, some of that, the luster is off of it. It's kind of tarnished a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not. All we did was build the base for the company in a very, as I said, I'm an engineer. This is very logical, methodical as the way you build a company. And you still have all the blue sky going forward, and long term. I know last week somebody had asked me a question about, well, how many Wildcat wells will you end up drilling? And I went, exactly, I don't know. If
Yeah.
We're drilling, I think originally we stated, 50 to 60 wells, and with the additional land packages that we picked up. And, we'll probably end up drilling 80 wells in Arizona over time.
Yeah.
Now, of that, I go back to my other statement. Will I drill dry holes along the way? Guarantee it.
Yeah.
That is one thing I will guarantee. And I'll guarantee I will be a good steward of the money that people have given me. And that's the way we are.
And
but going that
yeah. Yeah, like you found solutions on the run, as we've talked about in other interviews, where problems have jumped in, you've been able to solve them quickly and efficiently and for little cost. And I'm kind of alluding to where we're going with. I think we've spoken a little bit about what's happening with the plant and some of the developments that have been going on there, which are quite exciting too. And you're talking about efficiency and saving the money for the company.
But that's one of the things with the plant. We had finalized the design on it. We had secured the company Generon, worked with them to do it. And we're adding in everything that we're building with this plant is being set up to be able to add other components later without a disassemble. It just strictly move in another modular unit that is specifically designed to handle some specific gaseous composition. Now, to begin with, normally a plant for what to be built for this, it'd be about 150 feet wide and 600 feet long. We have gotten this downsized to its 4 shipping containers, 4 40-foot shipping containers. That's it.
That's it.
And it's all being set that we can add in other components later. Now, that being said, people want to know, well, what's the max that you could do it? Well, currently, the way this plant has been designed, it has a maximum capacity of 10 million cubic feet of gas a day for throughput. Now, again, I'm saying it's been designed to add more. The amine unit, the PSA, the membrane unit, everything that we are doing, has been designed to be able to add more to it as we go. So when you look at the total cost, what originally we forecasted, $10 to $12 million just for the plant itself, plus an additional 1.8 to 2 million for the solar facilities. Since we're now be adding in the hydrogen aspect, so again, even more green, another green alternative in there. By having the plant so much smaller and being able to do everything we want, the actual plant cost came down to right at $6 million.
And I like that this modular system too, where you can build into growth as well. Because like you said, you can build out a giant plant. And with the assumption that here's the numbers that we're targeting, and then, spend a ton of money up front, and then, have see what the results in coming in as they come in. This way, you've got a system where you know what you can handle, you know what the scope is, and you can build into as you're drilling more holes, more development wells, as well as wildcatting.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's one thing, our engineering team has done really a great job. And then by bringing James Hayes on, when James came on, then he had some other really unique ideas that he put into the mix. And so, again, you save another $1.3 million because he's seen other things elsewhere that work. Wasn't totally, had not been used for this, but it was still dealing with the base gas and how they separate. Just application of that. Well, there's another 1.3 million saved on top of where we were already saving money.
This is great. So we've got a lot of catch up then with the amount of news flow that we know that is going to come in. And I like this talk about the blue sky potential, because often people get caught up and they think, okay, we have to wait X long for the plant to be finished, and then there's generating revenue. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they get lost in that sense of urgency. Like, well, why? Like, for example, it's tax loss season here in town.
Right.
People go, maybe I'll just sell right now. And I tell people that could be the case. A lot of people say, I'm going to sell today, but they're probably going to come back and buy it a month later, whenever the rules, depending on province and state, where you can get your tax loss and then go back into the company. That's fine as a strategy. And maybe that's happened a little bit, but I like to keep people on track to say there's nothing has changed in the story, in the development. And not only that, you've added to the board. I mean, people don't add people to the board expanding the company if there's issues and problems. And there's lots more drilling going on and a lot more work that people know behind the scenes that are just constantly evolving.
That's one thing, part of the reason for adding Weldon is because it fits into, you have to have, when you go on NASDAQ, you have to have additional board members that have nothing to do within your actual area, so this is a resource company. So you want someone who has to have financial acumen, legal, or some other aspect that has absolutely nothing to do with oil and gas. And we have that already set up within the board. We needed another person. This came along. Also, Weldon has a very interesting background. Not only was he a judge, a very accomplished attorney, not only in Oklahoma, but also in Arizona. Weldon had worked and litigated on cases that were for water rights and water quality issues. And he was successful in all of those that he worked in Arizona. Then he sits on the Oklahoma Bar Association. So it's a very extremely high quality individual. He sat on a lot of other committees and foundations and for finances. So it's someone else who is not afraid to come in and ask hard questions. And that's why
Yes.
I don't need a bunch of yes men or
and
yes women.
Yes. And if I can allude in something about that, I mean, with and just jump into this topic with the lawsuit with Flagstaff, this one can read between the lines and think, oh, okay, so you've added someone here that would have a definite amount of experience and acumen specifically with these types of issues.
It also provides, because he has argued, and he is in the US, you have to have, there's different levels. You can't just be an attorney and argue in the federal court system. And Weldon has done that. And having been a prosecuting attorney, it gives somebody else with a totally different background. And I really like that because his experience is broad, very broad business background, very successful in his own right. And that is helpful, I think, just in general. And it also meets the requirements for a future NASDAQ listing, for an uplist.
And that's the thing when I look at a company like this is the excitement of, and you alluded to before, was this intergenerational wealth. I'll call it that, is that when you're into an energy gas type of company like this, and whether it was just say an oil and gas company and you're in early, if you look back at some of these big plays that have happened, I mean, the amount of money that's made to the shareholders, to that, the amount of revenue that generates is enormous. And this is no different. This is how I view this, is that it is an opportunity. And in my sights, this is such a major factor and such a huge growth potential. And you're hitting all these milestones as you go along, and not everything is being clear side, blue skied and easy. But during the time that we've had and some of the struggles, it has been remarkably successful.
How many other companies have built a brand new company in the middle of COVID?
Yep.
I mean, really?
Yeah. Yep.
And with all the problems within that, now there are just a lot of companies coming out and they have a problem with, they can't find employees.
Yes.
Everywhere you look, somebody is hiring. And so we managed to, squirrel away or steal almost. I hate to use that term, but I managed to finagle some really top folks away from really great companies. And they're so bright. It's to have the brain power and the experience level for long-term, for operating the company long-term, keeps the company a lot more even keel. You go back and study successful companies, and they have a key group of people who start a core group, very bright, tend to have people that think outside the box, will explore. Doesn't mean you don't end up having to come back to a tried and true way, but everybody is willing to look outside for a newer way to do it. And how do you do it? How do we accomplish this? And with ESG and everything else, that we're actively doing that. There's a lot of companies, they don't even want to hear about that.
Yes. Yeah.
Especially
I hear it all the time.
Stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
They want everything up and running, then think of it. And you can't, again, it goes back to my engineering aspects.
Yes.
You can't be that way, in my opinion, and be successful long-term in business.
That's the critical capacity. You might get the bump in the stock. You might get this because you get the hottest news out faster and this and that. And you might get a response from the market. But if you're building a company and you're building a long-term business, that's a very different approach. And once again, you're better off to be safe than sorry, and to make sure all of those thought processes are met with and anticipated. So you see the long-term vision, and especially nowadays, like the world is changing so fast. And if you're not taking some of these things into account, it may not even matter if you have a discovery, whether it's a gold property or whether it's an oil company, it doesn't matter. If you're not anticipating some of these issues, which they're flat out telling you that they're focused on, it may not make a difference. Your company won't even be a company. So addressing them early and specifically, to me, it resonates with me very well.
Oh, thank you. That's what we try. And Jessica's worked hard on a lot of it. And she was given some awards for in industry last year. So it's really neat to see that we have this level of people in here for long term. So people want to know, well, maybe the price of the stock went down today or it went up or down, but long term, the company we're on the build.
Yes.
And that's what the entire thing's about, is long-term growth.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and reminding us that this is a long-term growth strategy. Not everything can be up like blue sky and keep on pushing up and up. There's lots of factors that come into play, but we already know this plant has a shelf life of 6 to 7 months from now, give or take. We know that you're going to have a lot of new wells development, plus some wildcatting to grow out the scope and the size. And there's a NASDAQ listing in there as well. But there's a lot of things going on. Lots of news in the short term that's going to be coming out as soon as January rolls around.
That's it. And again, getting back to long term. So out of those 60 or 70 wells we drill, you got to remember there's going to be 35. There will be 35 Wildcats in that group. That's the potential for upside is so huge in that. It's not lost, but you have to develop this over time.
I want to thank you so much for jumping on with us and having this conversation. It was a great news release, and I think it reminds people too of what the vision is as well. And if you get $30 next week, let's sell it. If it's a year from now, we'll see.
That's it.
No, but I mean, it's good to have you say that as well, because it lets people know. And if they scoff and laugh it off and just say he's being silly, he's being facetious, he's being whatever, is that in your mind, you've said that to me before as well, is you're sincere, is that you want to see this be that big a company. That's the goal. That isn't a goal to get the stock up to $7 to hand it over to someone else. That's not what this is about.
Not my goal at all. Haven't put this many years into it to just run it off for a few pennies.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew. You have a great week.